So it's no longer news hot off the press that the election tribunal has rejected challenges to Bola Tinubu's narrow victory in February's presidential ballot. The question now is, how feasible will the opposition's appeal to Nigeria's top court be? The Supreme Court, of course, an absolutely colossal platform, the final and ultimate arbiter in the dispute. But beyond being Nigeria's omnicompetent institution, empowered to decide legal matters at issue, can it truly solve the political argument, be the eye of reason and truth, and turn the feuding parties and Nigerians away from uncertainty? Well, for their assessment of the current political terrain in Nigeria and to help us dig a bit deeper behind the headlines and explore the stories and issues of the day, I'm joined now in the studio by the current affairs analyst and professor of communications at Bayes University in Abuja, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, and by the policy strategist and group CEO of the global investment and trade company, Baba Yusuf. Thank you very much indeed to both of you for joining us, and great to see you again.
And you.
Good to see you, Charles.
I hope you had a nice time.
Yeah, it was a good break. But let me start with you, Prof. You heard Daniel Bwala firing on all cylinders there, enormously critical of the current government. I mean, he would, wouldn't he? He is a spokesman for the opposition. But he made some very direct points about what he called the spread of misinformation over this trip to India, for example, and so on and so forth. Obviously, we don't have any facts to doubt him, but assessing what he said, does he have any points?
Well, he's of the opposition, so I don't ordinarily expect him to do anything less. And of course, we have also been concerned about the kind of opposition we've been having in this country, especially in the political space, where they are often very weak, lack fire. I mean, they lack the necessary forcefulness, to make the government of the day, to make them responsive and responsible, and of course, alive to their responsibilities, as the case could be. So, if in the new dispensation we're going to have a very potent opposition, somewhat represented in the pronouncement, in the fiery nature of his delivery, then of course it's a welcome development, because opposition in the democracy is very, very important, But again, do not forget that, of course, sometimes opposition can be excessive, I'm not going to agree with everything he said, irrespective of, the preference, for a very vibrant opposition. I do believe that there are some advantages, there are some takeaways from the president's recent trips, first to China and the stopover in Dubai. It's not. There are promises, the trips are pregnant with some possibilities, some potential.
Pledges.
Some pledges, and of course, what we should be worried about, what should we be concerned about, is just to make sure that these pledges, these promises come to fruition. In the past, arguments have been made. We have had so many MOUs signed, so many agreements signed, but the problem is often at the delivery of these agreements and promises. If the president can activate all the machineries of government and ensure that, we are having these things, we are seeing them in the next couple of months or years in practical terms, then we can appreciate them better, So implementation is key. It shouldn't just end at the level of photo ops, at the level of pronouncement, at the level of celebration.
Well, it would be pointless, wouldn't it? If that's what
because
it does.
We are a people, particularly the government is in a hurry to deliver.
Yeah.
And again, you wouldn't necessarily blame them and begin to label it as misinformation. I think it's too early in the day.
Yeah.
This is a government that is new. They want to be celebrated. They want to be seen as achieving. So they'll probably be enthusiastic, to deliver or to reveal some of the achievements they have made on account of those trips. I don't believe that there wouldn't be some promises or some pointers to the fact that the ban on visa will be lifted, or that Emirates or Etihad will not resume their trips back and forth to Nigeria. If there are no pointers, I doubt if a government agency would just come out and lie glibly.
It would be difficult. It would make them look like a joke, wouldn't it?
Using words like misinformation to describe it, it's rather on the strong side. But I can excuse Daniel Buala because he's an opposition person, and so you can give him that. That gives him some level of coverage. Yeah.
And Baba Yusuf, of course, as I said to Daniel, the opposition looking at a bit frayed around the edges now with all the kind of the battering they've had recently. But you were making the point that just a few years ago, Daniel Buala was on the other side of the fence.
Absolutely.
Or as I say, the other side of the Mason-Dixon line.
Yes. To be honest, I was smiling, very vibrant and very intelligent lawyer.
Yeah, he certainly is.
But like I was saying before we came on air, it's not even years ago, it's a couple of months ago actually. How time flies, isn't it? Last year, June, July, August, October, Daniel Buala was more or less the spokesperson for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But it's okay, it's within his right, his constitutional rights, and I like the vibrancy, I like the skill.
Well, to be fair to him, when he moved over to the Atiku camp, he's been quite consistent.
Consistent, that's true, and that's, it is what it is, but we move on from there. And for some of us that are Nigerians looking forward, front-facing, to a better Nigeria, a Nigeria that is moving purposefully and with a positive trajectory to growth and development. And that is, my area of interest, to that extent.
So based on that, you are optimistic, hopeful, based on the things that you've heard so far from the government?
Absolutely. Going back to the conversation about India, and to be honest, from my perspective, in my strong opinion, this is no jokes. There is no way the president of this country and the caliber of the person of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, indeed any other person, will have traveled to India, and within 1 week, like him or hate him, he has taken demonstrable, steps to demonstrate performance, and he has built critical momentum. And personally, I commend him for that. These issues of that misinformation, we saw the engagements, and we all know how this kind of engagements play out. Within 48 hours, we have over $14 billion investment commitment across sectors. That's why I say
pledges, not
pledges.
The same
okay,
as the
pledges. Whatever they are. You know what that tells me, Charles? A couple of months ago, ExxonMobil left Nigeria, ShopRite left Nigeria, and then SMK, Smith Clark Beecham left Nigeria, and a host of others were propping up to leave. If anything, this so-called pledge is an indication of some kind of confidence that is returning, for us as a country.
Well, that's it precisely, and I'll come to you, Prof. That's precisely what is raising doubts, that if all these big multinational companies are leaving, it's not the government of India coming to invest, it's private business.
Absolutely, but I tell you what.
So if they're seeing all these other people leaving, what would be the incentive to come here?
Thank you very much. You made a very important point, Charles. These guys don't just take their bags and come into a country. They do their due diligence. They don't just go and fall into the sweet tongue of a president, okay? And the fact that Mr. President might have made some commitments as well on the table with the president and with those investors, quote and unquote, would have engendered that confidence. For me as a Nigerian and as a student of strategy, in the next 3-4 months, I will see. And that is when I will be able to form an opinion.
Well, that's it, really.
But then importantly, on his way out, he stopped over in UAE, and we saw what played out. And I heard rumors about there is no ban on visa and all that. What I expect is for us to manage expectations based on what people tell us and take them up at the right time if those things don't happen.
Well, Prof is looking at his watch there, wondering why you're gobbling up all his talking time. But you make some good points. But let me say this, Prof, because Baba Yusuf there was talking about the fact that the president had built critical momentum. Does that suggest that political uncertainty is still towering over Nigeria or not? Or is the way now pretty clear after that victory, particularly at the tribunal by President Tinubu, described by one of his supporters as a sublime victory?
I think if you look at it even from the beginning, from the time he was sworn in, he never, in my own opinion, he never appeared as if there was any kind of haze, any uncertainty around him, He moved on with his appointments. He never seemed deterred, And you just wonder where he got that confidence from. But the other side, again, is to say that politicians can be naturally very optimistic. I think sections of those around him believe that he has won the election, and since he's been declared the winner, he's going to be there until another 4 years and possibly another 8 years. So they can be optimistic, and you saw that optimism around him. That also that was also reflected even in his conduct. Ahead of the delivery of the judgment, I mean, he headed to India, somewhat on board that, and when the judgment came, it was celebratory. And of course, he continued from that. You may describe it as momentum, and of course, we are seeing right signs of actions towards propelling us towards development, for using from his own perspective, as the case could be. So, yes, of course, we are still expecting another round of judgment, another round of fireworks, through the instrumentality of the Supreme Court. I don't think that anything will be different, really.
Right.
He's not going to continue thinking that, judgment is I'm still expecting judgment. As far as he's concerned, as far as the governments around him, people around him are concerned, he's sworn in, and that is it for now.
Right. But
again, I think there's another important point that I
sure.
need to underscore. Yes, we're talking about foreign investment, but we cannot downplay the fact that we need to get our own arts right. Arts around ensuring that there is security, ensuring that the macroeconomic environment is suitable for investment. Because these investors, rich as they are, promising as they are, resourceful as they are, they're not going to come here if all the pieces are not properly fixed in the jigsaw. And those pieces are very, very important because of the nature of money and resources. They move to where there is peace, where they can be returned on their investment. But our focus should be more on ourselves. And if we can focus better on ourselves, of course, there are so many other things that we can also generate within our own locality as a people. If we boost production in the right way, of course, at some point, we may not even be concerned about this foreign investment. We may not even be concerned about actually going to canvas for foreign investment. They will come on their own overall.
Good point. And Baba Yusuf, Professor Adeniyi there talking about the fact that he doesn't see political uncertainty in the decisiveness of President Tinubu. But what about the Nigerian people? I mean, after months of coverage, concentrated attention, is the thrill of the chase and the sense of anticipation finally wearing off and boredom now setting in once again?
It is what it is, Charles, especially given the fact that the litigation process has an end date. The electoral process, the electoral law has provided timelines to exit, and rightly so, litigation, so that the issues of governance will move on and people will start tasking whoever is in charge, and then the person will also have direct and peripheral vision to governance. Moving forward, the people in the opposition also to prepare and ensure that they keep a close watch on the governance framework of the incumbent, and to also prepare for the next round of elections. With regards to Nigerians, to be honest, in the past 23 years since return to democracy, there is this thing this loop I call, borrowing from a House of Proverbs that says the progress of a well digger. You ask him how far, he say, I'm going far, but he's going deeper into the well. That is the mindset of Nigerians, whoever is in power, because we are continuously retrogressing and calling it progression. So what remains to be seen is how things will pan out moving forward after the litigation process at the Supreme Court. Nigerians are at the highest political consciousness in the history of this country. Highly sensitive, highly polarized. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, maybe that is one of the things that is propelling him. The numbers of Nigerians that didn't vote for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is more than the number of people that voted for him. He is very conscious of that. And part of what he will do to engender confidence and trust is to demonstrate performance and to actually perform. In the next 2-3 months, like I said, that is when we will see whether those promises and those pledges will play out in terms of tangible and intangible impacts. But Nigerians do not have the patience anymore to take excuses from anybody at the national or subnational level.
And on that note, I want to say thank you very much indeed to both of you, the current affairs analyst and professor of communications at Bayes University in Abuja, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, and the policy strategist and group CEO of the global investment and trade company, Baba Yusuf. Always a delight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja and London. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.